Hello guys, it's me Zain, and most probably if you clicked on this video, you are curious about propagating succulents, or you're someone who is subscribed to my channel and watching all my videos no matter what. So after me making all these succulent care videos, succulent how-to tutorialish videos, there's a lot of them with a lot of interesting aspects like caring for your succulents in the humid tropics, like aerial roots on succulents. We finally came to this point when I finally can talk about the propagation, which is a really popular topic. And based on that, I might think that you need more of that plant. I cannot blame you, I love succulents too. So if you're already here, consider the option of subscribing to my channel, also hitting the bell button icon something, and also following me on Instagram because I try to have a beautiful feed there. Yeah. Without any blabbing here, let's start this topic. So succulents are one of those plants which are hardy bitches. They can withstand a lot of things, and also they can be easily propagated because they want to survive. They will grab on any little evolutionary thing that will help them to survive, and that's how they can be so easily propagated. There are three ways in which you can propagate your succulents. You can have leaf cuttings and you can have stem cuttings, and the stem cuttings can have two different ways, but we're gonna talk about that. So if you've never done this, it might be a good experiment for you, because this is not like 100% sure thing. This is something that will work, but sometimes it just won't work, and you have to deal with that. Is it a good idea to propagate succulents? Yes, it is, but there are some downsides. Don't be discouraged if your propagation won't be 100% success. Some succulents cannot be propagated as other succulents. For example, you cannot take leaf cuttings from an Aeonium, but you can take leaf cuttings from Echeverias. Well, succulents is not one big family, because basically a succulent can be anything which has a structure to store water and nutrients in it. So we cannot say that, oh, everything is gonna work the same here. No, nothing like that. They are different. If you have a succulent and you know the name for it, you can basically search for it in the Google, but if you don't have the name, it's experiment time, bitch. If you don't know what you are doing, you're just experimenting, and that's that. It's not too bad or anything. So the first way of propagation here is the leaf cutting. You basically have to take a leaf from your succulent, and that's all. The best candidates are basically these Echeverias and some Pachyphytums and these kind of leaf succulent plants, because they store nutrients and moisture in the leaf itself. So it can provide this energy to the newly growing plant there. There are others, but not like all of the succulents can be propagated this way, because sometimes you need a section of the stem, which is really important. But with the leaf cuttings, you have to really be gentle with the leaf. If you are taking the leaf cutting, you just have to break off one leaf from the stem. But the leaf cutting has to have this clean edge, because if you break the leaf and that's how you break it off, it's not gonna work, because you really need that point where it was connected to the stem. Otherwise it won't work for you. You just have to really gently wiggle and twist the leaf off from the stem, and in that case you might end up with a clean edge. Sometimes I just break in half, and that's not good. After you took the leaf cutting, you just have to wait for a few days, because as you break these leaves off, there's gonna be wound, and you have to wait. After the wounds are dried up, you can put soil into a tray and lay these leaves on that soil and just leave them to be in a bright, you don't need direct sunshine here because we are not trying to burn these leaves to death, bright area, bright warm area, and these leaves cuttings will actually grow. Or maybe not. The difference between a good and a bad leaf cutting, it's really important. At first I didn't know what is good and what is bad, so it needs a little bit of a time and experience, and after it you just have to spray the soil. Usually I go back every few days, because these little plants need more watering. You should only water when the roots are already growing from your leaves, because if there are no roots growing, there is nothing to pick up the moisture, so it's basically pointless. After a time, you will notice that some leaves are growing roots and a little plantlet, some leaves are growing only roots, and some leaves are just lazy bitches and they are not doing anything. And if these kind of leaves are starting to wrinkle and dry up, you can basically get rid of them. It can happen that a leaf will only produce roots and no new little plants, so you can get rid of them as well. You will remain with these little plantlets connected to these huge leaves, and after a time when they are big enough, you can actually transplant them into their own pots. People like to get rid of that big leaf only, and they remain only with that tiny plantlet, but I like to leave that big leaf there. In my mind, it's like the big leaf is still feeding this new baby plant. It will dry up anyways there, so it won't be an ugly shit. Now the other propagation method is the stem cutting. Basically you have a succulent and you just cut the top part, and that's all. And again, you have to leave that open wound to callus there to dry up there. If you would put that open wet wound into soil, and that is the perfect gate, the open gate for all the pathogens to enter the plant, and bang, you get rot. Do you want rot? I don't think so. Well, you know, with these top cuttings you already have a beautiful nice sized plant, so it will be faster than with these little leaf cutting plantlets because they are still tiny and they will need time. But then again, you will left with a stem without a top. Don't throw that shit out because it will be really important. All these parts where the leaves were on that stem, all these parts can actually produce a new plant. So we can actually see a little bit of a pattern here. Everything grows from the point where the leaf was joined to the stem. It will look like shit for a time because you will have this stump with tiny plantlets growing on there. After a time they will grow up and you can actually cut these off. Also, I want to mention here that time is your friend. So if you have a succulent cutting, that will take its time. For example, I had a leaf cutting which I was growing for a lot of years now, and right now it's still tiny but it's considerably bigger. And also if you're left with that bare stem and the tiny plantlets will appear on it, well, again, you have to wait for a little bit of time. Also, I have to mention here that some succulents you just cannot propagate because it's forbidden. Because some nurseries, when they hybridize new plants and they create these new plants, sometimes you are prohibited to propagate them. Usually you can find this information on the tag when you buy the plant, but if it doesn't come with this tag, you can't propagate them. Also, I want to mention here, I just want to mention here a lot of things. Also, I have to mention here that there are some succulents which are designed by evolution in a way that ensures that they will propagate themselves forever. For example, sempervivums create these little offsets, these pups, which actually after a time they will root down, and that's how they actually produce these clumps, these huge clumps of plants. So some plants are really prone to this propagation method themselves. And also, for example, there is the mother of thousands plant. It has a leaf, and the edge of the leaf can produce a new plant, and sometimes these calanchoes can look really funny because there is the plant and all the edges of the leaves are just fully covered with new plantlets and the roots growing down. It's a baby plant factory basically. And also I want to mention one more thing here. The reason why you want to propagate, one reason it can be that you just want to have more plants of the same species or same hybrid. Sometimes this propagation method is great for ensuring a more beautiful look to your succulents. For example, a succulent got leggy and you just cut the top part and you can plant it again and it will be beautiful again, and this leggy part will grow you even more of that succulent. So if you don't like these leggy looks, propagation is your method. I personally like leggy succulents, so maybe I'm just weird. There is a bird, there is a cat, something will bump into a succulent, it will fall, some leaves will fall off or break up, and I just usually put those back into the soil and they will grow out. Also, for example, here is my Echeveria aloe, which is a tinier plant because I took this cutting from the original plant, because at the time when I got it, after half a year or something, it produced like 2 new growths. One of them was a flower spike and the second of them it became this new little offset, and I was really happy for it because the Echeveria aloe is a bitch and it's really hard to propagate it. That's why it's a little bit pricier than like other succulents. For example, leaf cuttings from Echeveria aloe, no. Those leaves are lazy. They won't do anything. So yeah, I think this was my video for today, and I hope you have an idea now how to propagate succulents and what to do. If you like this video, click on the like button. If you disliked it, You can leave a comment down in my note section. Also, you can subscribe to this channel, you can subscribe to my other channel, and you can follow me on Instagram. And that's all for today, and see you next time. Bye guys.